I mean, first of all, I think you've got to consider that the judgment of the court was revealed a very tight majority in favour of change of Northern Irish legislation. Secondly, of course, legislation in one country is different to another, so it's important not to make presumptions about what the law in Gibraltar should or shouldn't say based on the judgment of an assessment of a law of another country. But having said that, of course, we take on board that it may be that when you have a statute in Gibraltar that goes back many, many decades, it may be that it is now not compliant in some respects with the Constitution. It has never been challenged or tested in Gibraltar, but it is important to weigh that in the process of consultation and consideration of all the important facets of this issue.
This issue has been long debated in many countries all over the world, and certainly in Gibraltar some very strong opinions have been expressed over the past 18 months or so. So how can you say the process of consultation is moving forward too soon?
The reality is that the idea that the government were going to do something or consider changes has only been very, very recent. And indeed, it has been announced in a fairly hasty way, in the sense that it was announced only recently, only last week, and that we were told that the government were aiming to conclude this process over summer and produce a command paper by the end of summer. We think that that is pretty quick when you are considering issues of fundamental importance such as this.
The government hasn't said how it will change the law. It's simply starting a process of consultation. Now, isn't this a necessary first step?
Well, indeed it is a necessary first step. All I'm saying is that there is no need to set deadlines for this process. There is no clamour or indeed a need to rush for the line on legislative change. It's important to bear in mind that none of the political parties that are present in the House have a mandate on this issue. It has never been an electoral issue. There was nothing in the manifestos of either political formation at the last election. And indeed, it is important to weigh up very carefully people's views and all the dimensions of this issue.
Well, given that everyone else has set out their position, isn't the GSD lagging behind in putting forward its own position? And what would you consider to be an acceptable timeframe?
On the contrary, the GSD had made its view known at the outset, and we were the first political party in February to express a view on this issue and indeed express caution about legislative change and how things should be done. It may be that the party can take a view in August, but if it needs to wait till September, well, then we will take a considered policy view and then make the announcement.
So basically what you're saying is that you're following the same process that the government itself is following, which is meeting with interested parties in a process of consultation.
Well, it is important indeed to meet the interested parties. We're not setting deadlines. I think that's the difference. And secondly, our context is, I think, different in that we do not feel that there is a clamour for legislation, but we are prepared to consider any changes that may be necessary in the context of indeed the UK Supreme Court ruling, or indeed the views expressed to us by either lobbying group.